They ran. The base shook as explosions ripped through it. The weapon was destroyed. The heart of the Threxian fleet was gone. But they weren't safe yet. The ship was falling apart. Ryan and Zira made it to the escape pod just as the whole place began to collapse around them. They launched into the void, escaping the death that followed. Outside, the Threxian fleet was in chaos. Without their main weapon, they couldn't fight back. Ryan looked at Zira, their eyes meeting for the first time since the battle. "It's over," he said. Zira nodded. "We won." They didn't say anything else. They didn't need to. They had survived. They had saved Earth. And now, they could finally begin to heal. The wreckage of the Threxian fleet drifted through space, scattered like broken stars. The battle was over, but the silence that followed was deep, like the calm after a storm. Ryan and Zira sat in the escape pod, floating far away from the ruins. They didn't speak, just watched the stars. The pain of everything they had lost, everything they had fought for, was still fresh in their hearts. But in that silence, there was something else too. Hope. Ryan looked out the small window of the pod. Is it really over? Zira leaned back in her seat. For now. But the war doesn't end with just one battle. Ryan nodded. I know. But we gave humanity a chance. He turned to her. Do you think they'll forgive us? Zira didn't answer right away. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get forgiveness. But maybe we don't need it. Maybe. We can just keep fighting. For what's left. Ryan looked at her. He knew what she meant. They couldn't change the past. But they could change the future. The future was something they could build together. Days passed as they made their way back toward Earth. They were tired, their bodies and minds worn from the endless fighting. But there was one thing they both knew now. They were survivors. The world they were returning to wouldn't be the same. The Threxians had been defeated, but the damage was done. The rebuilding would take years, decades, maybe longer. But humanity had a chance. When they arrived, Earth's leaders were waiting for them. The message was clear. They had won. But now, they needed to rebuild. They needed to find peace. Ryan and Zira stood in front of them. The faces of the leaders were stern, their eyes searching, waiting for the heroes they had heard about in stories. You two, one leader began, have given us the greatest gift, our survival. But we will need more than that. We will need to rebuild. We will need to trust each other again. Ryan nodded, his jaw tight. We'll help. I'll help. Zira stepped forward, her voice strong. We don't expect anything. We're here to make sure it doesn't happen again. Over the next few weeks, Ryan and Zira worked with the humans and aliens who had survived the war. They helped rebuild, helped unite the scattered groups. The Threxians were gone, but there was still a long road ahead. Ryan found himself in a room with Zira, looking over the new plans for Earth's future. They didn't talk much anymore, but there was an understanding between them. A shared history, a shared future. Zira turned to him, her expression thoughtful. Do you think we'll ever be like we were before? Ryan looked at her, his face unreadable. Maybe. But it doesn't matter. What matters is what comes next. What we make of it. They didn't need to go looking for answers. They had already found them, in each other, in the quiet moments, in the moments of pain and growth. There were still many challenges ahead. The galaxy wasn't at peace, but it was different now. Humanity had stood its ground, and it had won. There would be no more running, no more hiding. Years later, Ryan and Zira stood together once again, looking out over a new Earth, one that had been rebuilt from the ashes of war. The scars of the past were still there, but they weren't the only thing that remained. There was hope, and with that hope came a new beginning. The galaxy was no longer the same. Humanity had found its place, and in the end, it wasn't the war that defined them. It was their survival, their will to never give up. And that was something no one, not even the Threxians, could take away. Ryan turned to Zira. his face softening. "We did it. Together." Zira smiled, her eyes meeting his. Together. And with that, they both looked ahead, toward a future that was still theirs to write. The end of the war was just the beginning of their new tomorrow. Commander Ryan Cross stood on the deck of Earth's newest space station, Unity 9, watching the stars. Behind him, people moved, lights blinked, and ships came and went. But Ryan didn't care about any of it. His eyes searched the stars for one ship, Zira's. Zira was not human. She was a Threxian, a tall alien with silver eyes, soft blue skin, and a voice like music. But she was more than that to Ryan. She was his love, the first alien to truly understand a human heart. 2 years ago, humans and Threxians had been enemies. War had almost destroyed both sides. Then came the peace talks, and Zira was the Threxian diplomat sent to speak for her people. Ryan was Earth's top soldier, sent to protect the talks. But something strange happened during those meetings. They talked. They laughed. They shared stories, pain, and dreams. Over time, Ryan and Zira fell in love. People warned him. "Aliens don't feel love like we do. She's using you." But Ryan believed her. He believed in peace, in love, in something bigger than war. Zira had told him, "One day, we will change the galaxy together." Tonight, Zira was coming back from a secret meeting with her leaders. She had told Ryan to meet her at Dock 12, alone. "I have something important to show you," she said. "Come alone. Trust me." Ryan smiled as he walked to Dock 12. He wore no armor, carried no weapons. He didn't need them. He trusted Zira more than anyone. But when the door opened, he saw guns. 5 Threxian soldiers stood there, aiming plasma rifles at his chest. Ryan froze. "What is this?" Zira stepped out of the shadows. Her silver eyes were cold. "I'm sorry, Ryan," she said. "You weren't supposed to be this strong." Before he could speak, the soldiers opened fire. Ryan dropped to the ground, rolled behind a crate, and pulled out a small knife from his boot. The only thing he had. One soldier rushed him. Ryan spun, slashed his neck, and grabbed the alien's gun. He fired 2 quick shots. Another fell. But there were too many. A blast hit his leg. Another burned his side. Ryan screamed but kept fighting. He grabbed one of them and used the alien as a shield, moving backward. "Zira," he shouted. "Why?" Zira didn't answer. She turned and walked away as the last shot hit Ryan's chest. Darkness. Silence. Cold. Ryan woke up in a pile of metal. His body burned. Blood covered his hands. He coughed and looked around. He was in a trash chute, left to die. But he was alive. Barely. Pain filled his chest, not from the wound, but from the truth. She betrayed him. The woman he loved used him, lied to him, tried to kill him. Why? His mind screamed for answers, but his heart was already broken. He pulled himself out of the chute, one breath at a time. His arm was broken, his leg bleeding. But he crawled through the tunnels of Unity 9 like a wounded animal. No one saw him. Everyone thought he was dead. For 3 days he hid. He ate scraps. He used old tools to fix his wounds. And in those days, something changed. His love turned to rage. His heart, once full of hope, became cold. Zira didn't just betray him. She betrayed Earth. The peace was a lie. And now, war was coming again. But this time, Ryan wouldn't fight for peace. He would fight for revenge. In a small room deep under Unity 9, Ryan found an old locker. Inside was a photo of his old team, all dead now, killed in the trap Zira led him into. He whispered their names. "I'm sorry." Then he looked in the mirror. His face was scared, his eyes full of fire. "They made a mistake," he said. "They should have finished the job." Outside the space station, a Threxian warship flew away. Inside, Zara stood at the window, watching the stars. One of her guards asked, "Are you sure he's dead?" She didn't answer. Her hand trembled, just a little. Because deep down, she knew the truth. Ryan Cross was not dead. He was coming. And he would bring hell with him. The stars were cold. The darkness of space seemed endless. But Ryan Cross didn't feel the cold. His anger, his pain, kept him warm. He stood on the deck of an old rebel ship, staring at the large holographic map before him. Zira was beside him, looking at the same map. The plan was simple. Find the Threxian weapon, destroy it, and stop Project Exodus before it could wipe out humanity. But it wasn't simple. Nothing was anymore. "I can't believe it's come to this," Zira said, her voice quiet. "We're really going to war again." "We have no choice," Ryan replied, his voice steady. "The Threxians aren't going to stop. They'll burn Earth if we don't act now." Zira nodded, her face hard. "Then let's end it." They weren't alone. The rebel ship was filled with a few brave humans and aliens who had defected from the Threxian army. They were all fighting for one thing now: survival. Ryan had learned to trust them, but this was still a dangerous mission. The Threxian fleet was hidden behind a dying star, deep in a nebula. They'd built a massive fortress around it. It was the heart of their operation. But Ryan didn't hesitate. He knew the stakes. They would need to fight their way through dozens of ships to reach the heart of the Threxian Empire, where Project Exodus was being developed. The fleet jumped out of hyperspace. The first thing Ryan saw was the enemy. Thousands of Threxian ships, their dark, angular shapes blocking the stars. "They're waiting for us," Zira said. "They know we're coming." "We're not going to let that stop us," Ryan said, his voice cold with determination. "Get us in close. We have one chance at this." The ship shook as it was hit by enemy fire. The shields were holding, but just barely. Ryan grabbed his rifle. "All hands, prepare for battle. This is it." The rebel ship broke through the enemy line. Explosions filled the air as plasma fire and lasers collided in the blackness of space. Ryan and Zira were in the heart of it, fighting like ghosts in the chaos. Ryan led the charge. His weapons flashed as he tore through the Threxian soldiers, his fury guiding him. The faster they moved, the closer they got to the Exodus weapon. Zira was at his side, fighting with the same skill and precision. She was focused, but Ryan could see the hesitation in her eyes. She was fighting for more than just survival now. She was fighting for redemption. And Ryan, he was fighting for everything. For humanity. For the love that had once been, now shattered. They reached the heart of the fortress, a massive dark building surrounded by Threxian guards. There was no turning back. Ryan smashed through the doors with his plasma blade, cutting through the heavy metal like butter. Inside, the room was filled with weapons, tech, and scientists working on the Exodus project. But at the center of it all was the weapon itself, a massive energy cannon, capable of destroying entire cities with a single shot. "It's worse than we thought," Zira whispered, looking at the weapon. "This isn't just a ship killer. It could destroy planets." Ryan's heart raced. This was what they had been fighting for. This was what they had to stop. "We have no time," he said. "Set the charges. We have to blow this place sky high." Zira ran to the control panel, typing in the codes. Ryan set his explosives, but just as he finished, a loud voice echoed across the room. "Well, well, well, the ghost finally shows up." Ryan turned. General Velthar, the leader of the Threxian army, stepped out from the shadows. His cold, yellow eyes locked onto Ryan. "You've been a thorn in my side, human. But now your story ends here." Ryan raised his rifle. "I've heard that before." Velthar smiled, a cruel, sharp grin. "You really think you can stop me? Stop us?" Zira stepped forward. "It's over, Velthar. You've lost." "Oh, have I?" Velthar's fingers flicked. A switch was thrown. A dozen Phyrexian soldiers rushed in, surrounding them. The room filled with the sound of weapons charging. Ryan and Zira were trapped. But Ryan wasn't afraid. Not anymore. "Ghost," he whispered into his comm. "Now." Suddenly, the lights went out. The room was plunged into darkness. Then came the sound of gunfire, followed by the hum of energy blades cutting through the air. The Phyrexian soldiers fell, one by one, as the AI drone, Ghost, hacked into the base's systems and activated security lockdowns. "Let's finish this," Ryan said, rushing forward with his plasma blades drawn. He cut through the remaining guards, moving fast, like a shadow. Velthar tried to run, but Ryan was too quick. He grabbed the general by the throat and slammed him against the wall. "You don't get to run," Ryan said, his voice full of rage. "You started this war. You killed my people. Now, I finish it." He pulled the trigger. Velthar fell, lifeless. Zira finished typing in the final command. The countdown to detonation began. "Time to go," she said, her voice grim. Fear had a new name in the galaxy. Ryan Cross, the human who wouldn't die. Phyrexian commanders whispered his name in secret. They warned each other about outposts that went dark in the night, about soldiers found with no eyes, no tongues, and a message carved into metal walls. I remember. He attacked fast, hit hard, and vanished. No ships saw him coming. No scanners picked him up. No one lived to describe his face. They only knew the symbol he left behind, a broken heart on fire. Ryan was no longer part of any army. He was a ghost in the dark, with no orders, no rules. He picked his targets one by one. Quiet listening posts, weapon transports, mining sites. He destroyed them all. Each mission was personal. Each kill felt like revenge. He kept a small map in his ship, red dots marking where he had struck. He was burning a path straight toward one name: Zira. In a hidden command center deep in Phyrexian space, General Velthar slammed a report on the table. "This human must be stopped." The others were silent. One finally spoke. "How do you kill a ghost?" No one answered, because no one knew. Meanwhile, Ryan broke into a Phyrexian listening post orbiting a gas giant. The base had 15 soldiers and one officer. Ryan studied their patterns for 3 days. He memorized the shifts, the blind spots, the guard habits. Then he struck. First, he cut the power. Darkness. Then, he moved through the vents. One by one, he silenced them. Knives. Wires. Quiet deaths. When the officer ran, Ryan tackled him. The alien begged, "Please, I have a family." Ryan said nothing. He just showed the officer a small photo, Zira's face, and asked one question: "Where is she?" The officer gave him a location. High command ship, the Emperor's Claw. Ryan knocked him out cold and left the base in flames. On the bridge of the Emperor's Claw, Zira stared at a growing list of attacks. All matched one pattern. She held a small silver necklace in her hand. Ryan had given it to her once, long ago. Her eyes were wet, but she showed no emotion. A younger officer said, "Do you think it's really him?" She didn't answer. She just said, "Prepare the ship, increase guards, and tell the Emperor." She paused. "Tell him, the dead walk." Back in his stolen ship, Ryan sat in the dark. His body was stronger now, faster, but his heart still burned. He replayed the officer's words again. "She's on the Emperor's Claw." He knew that ship. It was the largest in the Phyrexian fleet. He couldn't attack it alone. Not yet. But he had time. And he had a plan. He visited a small moon on the edge of space, once used as a human tech base. The place was forgotten now, abandoned after the last war. But Ryan remembered. He found what he was looking for: an old AI drone, broken armor, and a special prototype weapon never used before. He spent days fixing them. He didn't sleep. He didn't stop. He tested every piece of gear. Now he wasn't just a man with a gun. He was a walking weapon, a soldier rebuilt from pain and rage. Then, one night, he received a message. Not a warning. Not a trap. It was a video of Zira. She sat in a cold metal room, alone, speaking into the camera. "Ryan," she said, her voice soft, "if you're alive, I want you to know I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice. I still think about you, every night. I know you want to kill me. Maybe I deserve it. But before you do, listen to the truth." The message ended. Ryan sat frozen. He replayed it twice. Then he erased it. His face didn't change. "Too late," he said. "You made your choice." But deep inside, something stirred. A part of him, the man before the betrayal, whispered, "What if she's telling the truth?" He shut it down. He didn't need doubts now. Only the mission. The galaxy had a ghost now. A ghost with fire in his eyes and death in his hands. He wasn't fighting for peace. Not for Earth. Not even for himself. He was fighting because they broke the wrong heart. And soon, they would see what happens when a human has nothing left to lose. The world believed Commander Ryan Cross was dead. No news, no body, no signal. But far away, on a cold, dead moon with no name, a broken man opened his eyes. He was alive, but not whole. His body was hurt. His soul was worse. His mind kept showing him the same moment. Zira turning away as the shot hit him. The woman he loved left him to die. Ryan lay inside an old, half-buried mining outpost. He had escaped Unity 9 in a cargo pod, barely breathing. The pod crashed on this dead moon, and now this place was his grave, or his prison. At first, he wanted to die. No food, no water, just pain. But something inside him didn't let go. Something deep, something old. The soldier in him. Weeks passed. Ryan learned to move again. Step by step, he found broken machines and old metal. He turned them into tools, weapons, armor. He taught himself to fight again, alone, in silence. Each day, he got stronger, harder, colder. He carved a message on the metal wall. Zira lied. They all must pay. He repeated it every morning. This wasn't about love anymore. This was about revenge. He looked up at the stars each night, watching Threxian ships move across space. They were spreading again, attacking small human colonies, taking resources, hurting the weak. And no one was stopping them. Earth was silent. The peace had blinded them. But Ryan knew. The war never ended. Only now, humans were sleeping, and the enemy was already inside the house. One night, he picked up a signal. A Threxian patrol ship flew close to the moon. Ryan smiled for the first time in months. He moved like a ghost through the dust. Quiet. Fast. He climbed the rocks near the landing zone. The aliens joked as they scanned for energy. They didn't see him until it was too late. Ryan dropped from above, knife in hand. One slash, 2 shots. Gone. In under 10 seconds, 5 elite Threxians were dead. No mercy. No words. Ryan took their weapons, armor, and their ship. He flew away from the moon, leaving behind the grave of the man he used to be. Now he was something else. Not just a soldier. Not just a man. He was vengeance in flesh. His first target was a Threxian outpost on the edge of human space. Small, but full of stolen tech and prisoners. He hit them at night. He moved through the base like a shadow. Silent kills. Explosives in the reactor. He found the prisoners. 3 humans, beaten and weak. He gave them food and opened the doors. "Go home," he said. "Who are you?" one asked. Ryan didn't answer. He just left behind a message on the wall. "I remember. Versi." That message shook the Threxian network. Ryan Cross, the dead commander, Alive. Zira saw the report. Her hands shook. No, she whispered. It can't be him. But deep down, she knew. Weeks passed. Outposts burned. Warships vanished. Phyrexians whispered of a ghost soldier. He didn't talk. He didn't rest. He just destroyed. They called him the Burned One. He left behind only one sign, a broken heart, carved in fire. On Earth, the leaders got reports. They tried to find this soldier. They didn't know if he was human or machine. They only knew he was striking back. Some feared him. Some wanted to stop him. But a few hoped he would keep going. Because someone had to remind the galaxy what humans do when pushed too far. One night, Ryan sat inside a stolen ship. He looked at an old photo of Zira and him, smiling, before the betrayal. He stared at her face. Then he burned it. I gave you my heart, he said. You gave me pain. Now I'll return it, one dead Phyrexian at a time. From the shadows of space, a new kind of war had begun. A silent war. A personal war. One man. One mission. No mercy. And this time, Ryan Cross wouldn't stop. Not until the stars knew his name. Not until Zira looked into his eyes and saw what she had created. Not a man. Not a hero. But the broken ghost of Earth and the fire of human wrath. The stars looked peaceful from a distance. But deep in space, war had returned. And this time, it had one name. Ryan Cross. He had burned 12 Phyrexian bases. He had taken weapons, armor, ships. He moved faster than anyone could stop him. And now, he was finally ready for his real target, the Emperor's Claw, the ship where Zira waited. Ryan floated in space, hidden inside an asteroid field. His ship was dark. No lights. No signals. He had shut everything down, even the heat. The Phyrexians would not see him coming. Inside, Ryan checked his gear. Black armor made from stolen Phyrexian tech. Twin plasma blades that could cut steel. A pulse rifle with armor-piercing rounds. And a small AI drone named Ghost, rebuilt from Earth's forgotten war tech. Ghost, he said, bring up the ship layout. A glowing map appeared. The Emperor's Claw was massive. 10 floors, 5,000 crew, heavy defenses. Zira's room was at the center. Ryan pointed. That's where it ends. Before the mission, Ryan sent one last message, only 6 words. To Phyrexian High Command. I'm coming. Burn with her. Roar C. The Phyrexians panicked. They locked down the ship. Set up traps. Put guards at every door. But it didn't matter. Because Ryan didn't come through the doors. He dropped from space, hidden inside a frozen rock. The moment the asteroid hit the ship's outer hull, Ryan burst out. His blades flashed. The guards on the docking bay didn't even scream before they fell. One by one, quiet and fast, he moved through the ship. His drone flew ahead, cutting cameras and unlocking doors. Ghost, he said, mark the targets. Red dots blinked on his visor. He didn't stop. Hallways ran red with alien blood. He moved like a shadow, his black armor catching firelight. Soldiers tried to trap him. He jumped over them, used walls as cover, fired shots without missing. He was faster, smarter, deadlier. Ryan reached the core of the ship. Explosives in hand, he placed charges along fuel lines and the main reactor. If he couldn't finish this, he would take the whole ship down. Then he reached a sealed door. Behind it, Zira. He placed his hand on the door. It opened. Zira stood in the middle of the room, alone. No guards, no weapons, only silence. She wore black armor, but no helmet. Her silver eyes looked tired, older. She stepped forward slowly. Ryan. He raised his gun. Don't. She stopped. I didn't want it to end like this. You had your chance, he said. You tried to kill me. I didn't know, she said. It was never supposed to go that far. Lies, Ryan growled. Please, just listen, Zyra said. The peace talks were fake. My leaders used me. They told me you were going to betray us. I tried to warn you, but they took control. I didn't fire. I turned away because I couldn't watch them kill you. Ryan's hands shook. He wanted to believe her. He didn't know if he could. She stepped closer. I loved you, Ryan. I still do. He pointed his rifle at her heart. I don't feel anything anymore. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Threxian reinforcements were on the way. Ryan had only minutes before the place turned into a trap. Zyra looked at him. Kill me, if that's what you came for. But don't let them win. Not again. Ryan stood frozen. He stared at her. His mind fought against his rage. His heart didn't know what to believe. Then, boom, a charge went off near the engine room. The ship shook. Time was running out. Zyra stepped forward. If you're going to destroy the ship, take me with you, or leave now. But decide fast. Ryan grabbed his comm. Ghost, prepare the jump drive. Lock on my signal. He looked at Zyra again. I should hate you. You do. But I'm not ready to let go. Not yet. He reached out and took her hand. For a moment, just one moment, there was silence between them. Then the door blew open. Threxian soldiers stormed in. Ryan raised his rifle. Zyra drew a blade from her back. Side by side, they fought their way out, cutting down anyone in their path. They reached the escape pod just as the last charge exploded. The Emperor's claw lit up like a dying star. The shockwave pushed the pod deep into space. Inside, Ryan sat breathing hard, Zyra beside him, silent. They didn't speak. They just watched the fire burn behind them. He didn't trust her, not fully. But something had changed. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. Now, it was about truth. And the war wasn't over. It had only just begun. The escape pod drifted through space, far from the wreckage of the Emperor's claw. The stars looked peaceful, like they always had. But for Ryan and Zyra, everything had changed. The fire of the ship's explosion still burned in their minds. They were alive, but barely. Ryan sat in the pod's control seat, his fingers tapping the edges of the metal. His eyes were fixed on the dark void ahead. Zyra sat beside him, staring out the small window. She hadn't said a word since the explosion. Neither of them spoke for hours. The silence was heavy. Both knew they could never go back to who they once were. Their pasts, their memories, they were all burnt away in the fire. I thought I lost you, Zyra said finally. Her voice was soft. I didn't know if I would ever see you again. Ryan didn't answer. He didn't know how to. They had both been soldiers. Both had given everything for a cause. But now, they didn't know what to believe. She looked at him, her silver eyes filled with pain. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve that. I don't know if I can, he said, his voice low. He stared ahead, avoiding her gaze. You turned away. You left me to die. Zyra nodded, her eyes downcast. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was saving you, saving us both. But I was wrong. Ryan's fists clenched. You were wrong. You lied. I didn't lie, she said quickly. They made me do it. The Threxians. They controlled everything. I tried to stop them, but I was too late. I couldn't warn you in time. The words hung in the air. Ryan stared at her, the anger still burning inside him. But this time, something else flickered. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't lying. Maybe they had both been caught in something bigger than them. He took a deep breath. I want to believe you, Zyra, but you don't get to break my heart and then just expect everything to be okay. I don't expect anything, she said quietly. I just wanted to make it right. Ryan didn't know how to answer that. His emotions were a storm, confusion, pain, rage, hope. But one thing was clear. He couldn't keep running from the truth. He couldn't stay in this pod, floating aimlessly in space forever. They had to decide what came next. Hours later, they reached a small, abandoned station on the edge of human space. The pod's fuel was low, and the wreckage of the Emperor's claw had attracted attention. Phyrexian ships were on the move, searching for survivors. Ryan knew they had to stay hidden. They couldn't afford to be caught again. He turned to Zira, his eyes hard. "We need to get to Earth. We need to warn them. The Phyrexians are coming back, but we can't do it alone." Zira nodded. "I know a place, a safe house. We can lay low until we figure out our next move." Ryan studied her face. She was serious. He saw the woman he had loved before, strong, determined, and not a traitor. "Lead the way," he said. They spent the next few days hiding in the station, keeping a low profile. Ryan kept training, sharpening his skills, while Zira used her connections to gather information about Phyrexian movements. The war, it seemed, had never truly ended. The Phyrexians were growing stronger, rebuilding their forces, and ready to strike again. But this time, Ryan and Zira were ready to fight back. It was late one night when Zira came to Ryan. She had a file in her hands, a data disk that had been encrypted. "I found something," she said, her voice serious. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" She handed him the disk. "This is Phyrexian command data. Plans, but not just military plans, something bigger." Ryan took the disk and inserted it into a terminal. As the data loaded, his eyes scanned the screen. The Phyrexians had been planning something enormous, something called Project Exodus. "It's a weapon," Zira said. "Not just a ship, not just an army. This is something that could end humanity." Ryan clenched his fists. "And they're going to use it on Earth." "Yes," she said, "but we don't know where it is, or when they plan to launch it." Ryan's mind raced. This was it, the reason he had been fighting, the reason he had burned everything in his path. "We need to stop them," he said, "before it's too late." Zira nodded. "We will. Together." They didn't know how much time they had left. The galaxy was still a war zone, and Earth was on the brink of disaster. But Ryan and Zira were no longer enemies. The fire of the past still burned in their hearts, but now it was a fire they would fight together. They weren't just fighting for revenge anymore. They were fighting for humanity's future. And this time, they would burn the Phyrexians out of the shadows.